let me mention our complex numbers. Next, yeah, complex numbers. Those are the ones with the I, A plus BI. We already mentioned converting those over. The other thing to remember on complex numbers, yeah, you've got I is equal to the square root of negative 1. But the other thing you might note is with I squared. What is I squared equivalent to? Negative 1, yeah. And so, usually when we see I, we don't do anything with it. But if I see an I squared, I do want to change it to be negative 1. It comes up ever so often. Now, what I mentioned, all right, so yeah, let's, right here, 6 plus 5i minus 7 minus 3i. Yeah, these in the parentheses are called complex numbers. A plus a bi is called a complex number. So here, what am I going to do to simplify this? Yeah, this is just subtracting them, and to subtract them, all I'm going to do is basically distribute the negative. So we have 6 plus 5i. Those aren't going to change, but this minus affects those. So it'll be minus 7, right? And then minus times a minus gives you a positive 3i. Yeah, just distribute that negative over and then combine like terms. You got 6 minus 7, that's negative 1. And you got 5 plus 3i, 8i. Okay? All right. Then 4 minus 6i times 2 plus 7i. What do we do there? Another FOIL, yeah. A lot of things repeat here. This is another FOIL. Binomial times binomial. All right, so 4 times 2, that's 8. 4 times 7i is 28i. Negative 6i times 2 is negative 12i. And then negative 6i times 7i, well, it's negative 42, but what about the i's? You got I squared. I the first, yeah, that's an I squared. Which in the middle, I do have like terms now, I terms, so that's combines to be 16i. What about that on the end? Well, there's our I squared. Note here, I didn't change the I. It's not I that you change. It's I squared that you change to be negative 1. Remember the... So you have negative 42 times negative 1 there. So that's plus 42 there on the end because it's got the I squared. I squared, you want to change it to negative 1. So now we've got, what, 8 and 42? That's 50 plus 16i. All right, now, let me make a note here. What if I had 6 plus 8i plus 7 minus 15i. Is that FOIL? Why is that not FOIL? Yeah, some jump the gun there and say, well, I need to FOIL those out. But FOIL is only if you're multiplying two binomials. This is I'm adding two binomials, and so that's just combining like terms. I just need to add the like terms. I'm just adding these two together, so that means add the like terms. So I need to add the 6 and the 7. And it's 13, and then the 8i and the minus 5i gives me minus 7i, doesn't it? So yeah, don't FOIL unless it's multiply or square. You know, squaring will FOIL too. But all right, be careful on that one. All right, the other thing we did on the simplifying of complex numbers was these. Let's see. All right, 4 plus 2i divided by (3) minus 5i. Simplify. Which I guess you could call that a complex number fraction. Looks like it's a complex number divided by a complex number, but that's not really what we're going to do here, is it? We're not actually going to divide like we normally think of divide, long division or anything like that. How do we simplify? Multiplying by the, what's it called? Conjugate. Complex conjugate, yes. Multiply by the conjugate of the bottom, right? And what does it mean for the complex conjugate? Change the sign in the middle, right? Or the sign of the I term, really technically. But yeah, we change that from minus to a plus and do that on the top also. So we change it. If it was a plus, then we do the minus here. So do the conjugate. And then we multiply those all out. See what we get. Well, 4 times, we got a foil, a couple foils. That'd be 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 5i is 20i. 2i times 3 is 6i. And then 2i times 5i is 10i squared. Then on the bottom I've got 9 minus or plus 15i. And I've got minus 15i minus 25i squared. Which means on the top I've got 12 plus 26i, and there's our I squared again. And again, we're not changing the I, we're changing the I squared. I squared is negative 1, so this is 10 times negative 1, that's negative 10. What happens on the bottom? 9. The I, 15i minus 15i, that's 0. Then I've got negative 25, there's negative 1 again, so I've got negative 25, negative 1, that's positive 25, isn't it? So I have over here 12 minus 10 is 2 plus 26i. And then the bottom I have 34, which to simplify that, just divide each of those to get the a plus bi form there. Divide each of those by 34. That reduces by 2. And just 2 there too, isn't it? 13 and 17, so it's 1 over 17 plus 13 over 17i. So notice again we have an a plus bi format. How about that? Any questions or concerns?